Very good evening to everybody. This is 9 Hotel 1 Foxtrot Bravo here. Charles, who is net control for the 9H-HAM GlobalNet for this evening. The net meets every 2 weeks, and we use various means. We use YouTube. We have 9H1 UHF-R. We also have 9H1 DMR-R, or -L, which connects to 9H1 DMR-R. So this is Charlie, or Charles. I'm in the hot seat this evening, so expect the unexpected. I'll break for a few seconds. This net meets at 8 p.m. local time, which is 1800 UTC. I would like to thank all those who are involved in making this net possible, the repeater trustees, and also other people who are involved this evening. I'm not going to do the usual long list. I'm trying to keep this as short as possible. So before we start, is there any emergency traffic for the net? This is 9H1 FPS, net control station for the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. Hearing none, we are now going to go to check-ins. I have already checked in 9H5 Fox Alpha and KC1 NOC, who is going to be the person who's going to make a presentation this evening. And I would like to ask anybody who would like to check in. First, I'm going to choose a different format than usual today. First, we're going to take check-ins from the RF side, from the radio side. So please, your call size twice, in phonetics, and if possible, your name as well. This is 9H1 FBS standing by.
Nine Hotel 1 Foxtrot Bravo Sierra. This is 9 Hotel 1 Sugar Fox, 9 Hotel 1 Sugar Fox, and the name would be Stephen. The name is Stephen. Good evening, and thank you for this evening for being the net controller. Microphone back to you, 9 Hotel 1 FBS, 9 Hotel 1 Sugar Fox.
Please.
Hotel 1 FBS 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike. Good evening, this is Roberto. Nine Hotel 1 FBS 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike. Good evening, Charlie.
Copied. Is your name?
QSL, Charlie.
More check-ins, please.
Nine Hotel 1 Tango Lima. My name is Chris, listening in. Thank you. 9H1 SBS, 9H1 Japa Lima. Good evening, guys.
Let's stop there. Now, now we're going to check the echo. See if I have everybody here. 985A, continue. November Oscar Charlie, David. 9H1 Fox, Stephen. 9H5, wait a minute. 9H5 Fox Mike, Francis, and hold on a sec. Big mistake here. 9H1 Tango Lima, or Christopher. 9 Tango.
One FPS. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. Your connection is sporadically disconnecting. It's coming in short bursts with small gaps. Then
Okay, QRX1, let's go to 9H1 DMR/L, and see if I can get a better connection on there.
This is 9-1.
9H5 Fox Alpha, 9H1 Fox Bravo Sierra. Is the connection better here? Over.
9 Hotel 1 FBS. Yes, the connection seems much better. Okay, sir.
Yes, so I'm going to give you a read back or copy so far. Also from the radio side. So we have 9 Foxtrot Alpha, Anthony, KC1 November Charlie, David, 9H1 Fox 9H5 Fox Process, 9H1 we have a check is from the Echo Link side. The check is from the Echo Link side. 9H1 Fox Bravo Sugar, net control standing by.
Nine Hotel 1 Foxtrot Bravo Sierra. This is 9 Hotel 1 Sierra Fox. Okay, Charles, what about trying to disconnect everything and reconnect back on to Echo Link? What do you think?
Is it that bad?
For some reason, Charles, it's very, very fragmented. It might be your neck connection or your microphone, perhaps. Is it plugged in? Is it plugged in or using an external mic?
Hold on. X1, I'll be with you.
while 9 Hotel 1 Foxtrot Bravo Sierra fixes up his problem. So far on the net we have 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha, Anthony, 9 Hotel 1 Sugar Fox, Steve, 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike, Francis, 9 Hotel 1 Tango Lima, Chris, 9 Hotel 1 Juliet Lima, Joe. Is there any more check-ins for tonight's net, please?
Good evening. Fortunato.
Thank you, 42, 9 Hotel 1 ES, 9 Hotel 1 Sugar Fox returning with tonight's net. I am just standing by for 9 Hotel 1 Foxtrot Bravo Sierra to fix his situation up. I do not think that you are on the repeater exactly, 42, or you are using a low-powered radio. But never mind, I still copied you there. So thank you very much for coming on this evening, 42. Is there any more check-ins for tonight's net?
9H-1FBS back on the net. Do I sound better now?
Nine Hotel 1 Foxtrot Bravo Sierra Charlie, microphone back to you. You can continue now.
Last one I had is Joe, 9H1 Juliet Lima. Do you have any more for me, Steve?
Okay, yes, very good. Very good, Mr. Charles. You're coming in very good now. The last check-in was 9 Hotel 1 Echo Sierra, 9 Hotel 1 Echo Sierra 42. QSL?
Roger, I got it. Now I'm going to open it up. Any check-ins from anywhere. Slowly, twice with phonetic, using phonetics, 9 Hotel, blah, blah. So this is 9H1FBS. Sorry about the problem there, but we seem to have solved the problem. So this is 9H1FBS, first time net control for this beautiful and very interesting net. I think it's going to be interesting this evening. So let's have anybody from anywhere, twice, name and call sign in phonetics, please. So far, so good. Do we have any announcements for the net? Any announcements for the net? Any events or other announcements for the net? Please call 9H1FBS.
H1FBS, 9H1ES, Echo Sierra. Yes, I have an announcement. I have HMG and on the pontoon, and enjoying the small boats, small sea crafts. The sun now went as it is down the horizon and setting down, enjoying the evening and walking. I am running low power, very low power with one shung. I am running 5 watts and I am getting the repeater very good. Back to you, Charlie. 9 Hotel 1 FPS. This is 9 Hotel 1 Echo Sierra Portable. Over.
Any more announcements?
Nine Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. I'd just like to remind participants that they can register on a link which is on the Facebook pages as well as on the YouTube page to receive automatic calendar invites about 1 or 2 days before every net. And it's no spam, just calendar invites connected to this net. And they can also unsubscribe if they want to stop receiving them. So this is just a small reminder and to encourage people to register. Thank you. Back to you, Net Control. 9H-1 FPS. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha.
That's the thing I left out, that this net can also be heard on YouTube, on the YouTube channel, and also, of course, there are people who are participating from Jitsi. Maybe you could give us your Jitsi participants, Tony, go.
H1 FPS, 9H5 Foxtrot Alpha. The Jitsi participants today are 9 Hotel 1 Sierra Fox, who has already checked in, and 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike Francis, who has already checked in as well. We have a number of usual Jitsi participants who are not with us today, possibly because they had other commitments. Back to you, Net Control. This is 9 Hotel 5 FA.
Okay, fine business. That's very good. Stand by. Okay. Well, maybe it's just summer, Tony. It's just summer, you know. People just go out and go to barbecues and all that stuff. So let us have a short round robin here. Let's pass it over to you. Maybe you could tell us something from your side. Well, you already did actually, and then we'll go to the next participant in a few minutes. 9H1 FBS standing by for 9H5 FA.
H1 FBS, 9H5 FA. Well, I'm seated under an AC. It's Furtu. Furtu is in a much better place, enjoying the evening. Spread out with monitors and keyboards and YouTube streaming and monitoring the audio and that sort of stuff. But otherwise, fine, and if it was not so hot during the day, I would be much better. Back to you, Net Control. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha.
Just to keep it light, Tony, especially during this time of year. Let's hear from David, see what he has to say. I will give you the microphone in a few minutes' time, David, so you could do your presentation. But how's the weather over there today? You said you had rain yesterday. Let's see how it is today. KC1 and OC, 9H1 FBS, Net Control.
(9H1) FBS with the net, KC1 NOC. Well, Charlie, weather-wise today, we're about 84 degrees, which is warm for us, but I know you'd rather have that than the high temperatures over there in the islands of Malta. Humidity is, I think, about 60% or so. Looks like we may be getting a little bit of rain here later on today. Didn't check out the forecast exactly, but whatever comes is going to come. Nothing I can do about it. Anyways, I'll keep it short for now and turn it back over to you, Charlie. 9H-1 FBS from KC1NOC.
Okay, very good. Well, I wish you well, and we'll hear from you later. Anyway, let's get this half English, half American accent going here. Back to you, Stephen. Maybe you can tell us something about yourself. I believe you live in a very high place there, if I'm not mistaken. K9H1 Sugar Fox, Sierra Foxtrot, 9 Hotel 1 Fox Bravo Sierra. By the way, do you spell your name with a PH or EVEN?
Okay, very good, Charles. 9 Hotel 1, Foxtrot Bravo Sierra. This is 9 Hotel 1 Sugar Fox, and it is spelled Sierra Tango, Echo Victor, Echo November, Stephen, or Steve, whatever. Okay, Charles, very good. Thank you for tonight bringing the net controller there, and good evening to everybody on Echo Link and also on Jitsi. Okay, yes, Charles, I live up in Melliha, up in the top part of Melliha, so yes, I'm pretty high up in the end. Antennas are pretty high up above the road, so they got a good view from the roof, the antennas there. Anyway, so yes, I'm in Melliha, Charles. I'm in Melliha, not far from our friend 9 Hotel 1 Alpha Zulu there. He's on the other side, and I'm on the opposite side to him there. We're both on the high part of Melliha. So that's a bit about the location anyway, Charles. So I'll pass the microphone back to you. Net controller, 9 Hotel 1, Foxtrot Bravo Sierra, 9 Hotel 1, Sugar Fox.
Yeah, we used to go to Melliha. It's a very nice place. Melliha, for David's sake, it's at the north of the island, and it is a very high place. It's not the highest, but it's very high. And you know, usually when people, especially work any type of ham radio, they would like a clear view, high. Okay, so let's go over to Francis. Maybe you could give us something from you. I know you've been here quite a number of times, but it's always nice to hear your docile tones. 9H5 Fox Mike, 9H1 FBS.
Hotel 1 SBS, 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike. Good evening to you and to everybody who is on this frequency. Okay, my name is Francis, and I am situated right at this moment at Bujuba, at the Curious Village. But where I live in the upper part, the quiet one, the quiet place, not like the lower part. I am 62 years. I'm a pensioner now, as for these last 16 years, and I enjoy this hobby. Okay, Charles, Mike, back to you. 9 Hotel 1 FBS, 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Mike.
Thank you very much for that, Francis. It did break off a couple of times. Don't know what happened to my microphone earlier on. I think it's like, what do they call it? Murphy's Law. And nothing goes wrong except when something like that. Anyway, let's go over to Chris. 9H-1 Tango Lima. Very nice call sign, Chris. Very easy. Da-di-da-di-dit. Mine was a bit long, but I used to go as well when I had HF. I used to do Charlie Whiskey as well. 9H-1 Tango Lima. This is 9 Hotel 1 Fox Bravo Sierra Net Control.
9H-1 FBS from 9 Hotel 1 Tango Lima. Good evening all. I'm going to be keeping this brief as I am driving towards home, but I will be listening in to this presentation. Looking forward to it. Thank you also, Jonathan Gallo had given me a heads up about this Hamnet. Thank you very much to Charles, Net Controller, and also for the presenter. Thank you very much listening, and mic over to 9 Hotel 1 FBS from 9 Hotel 1 Tango Lima /mobile.
Yes, I've been attending all the nets, and I think this is the first time. Welcome. Spread the word round. That's how it goes. That's what we used to say in the hospital business when I used to work at a hospital. Spread the word round. That's the best way to do it. So now it's over to Joe, if he's still there. In English, if we didn't bore him to death. 9H-1 Juliet Lima, 9H-1 FBS.
Very good good afternoon, good evening there, and a very good morning to our friend there, David. Case 1 LOC, I think it is. Name here is Joe Internet Juliet Oscar Echo, located in the center of the island here in Mosca, Mike Ocean Sierra Tango Alpha, right in the center of the island over here. Very good, guys. Timing for this net is a little bit awkward for me to come on. Most of the time we are at meantime. So today we're a bit late on the wheel, so we're running late, but managed to set some time to come on over here. Okay, a good afternoon there to our friend David, Chris there, 9H-1 Tango Lima, who needs some assistance with his APRS there. Chris, I think we have to communicate one of these days via radio and try and sort out your problems there with APRS. I'm not an expert in it, but we can always check my settings, and you check your settings, and maybe set them up similarly to what I have. I have an APRS station here from my home, an FTM400, which is running all the time here. So you can see in my beacon, guys, with 9H-1 Japa Lima there. So anybody wants to look up my location, especially our Dave there, David there, I can also check on APRS.fy, and you will see my beacon running there, 9H-1 Japa Lima. Sometimes I'm also on mobile with APRS. I've got my FT1D, which is set up with APRS, AESO handhelds, and it works beautifully there. Only thing that doesn't work when I go through the airport there and take the radio with me. It seems it doesn't like going through the scanners. And it just hangs up when I'm abroad. So I set up my Android there with the APRS also. I was telling there Chris when he sent me a message there. So you can have APRS also on your phone there, on your mobile phone. And of course, you can use it when you're on the plane. Right now, when lately we haven't been, so it hasn't been used that much. Okay, very good there. We're looking up there on QRZ.com, guys. You see that lots of stuff there on the roof, which someday it will have to come down eventually. And I really pity the guy who's got to they got this stuff down. Hi. Anyway, don't forget time down. So over to you, net controller 9H-1 FBS, 9H-1 Jeff Alley.
Maybe one day you could come and tell us all about APRS. I don't know what APRS is. Amateur something. I'll check it out. And there was a signal that I think you have exceeded or had exceeded your time there, Joe. Maybe it was from your own radio. But anyway, it's nice to have you. And do drop in. We would like to hear you again. Last but not least, but before I go to him, I will check if there are any more check-ins for the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. This is 9H-1 Fox Bravo Sugar, net control for this evening. And I think already half an hour has gone by. Doesn't seem so. Porto, it's all yours. Maybe you could tell us if the sun has set. I think it has by now. Shamshia. We used to have a place at St. Paul's Bay, and it seems that you like to go there. It's not a bad idea, really. Have a short transmission, and then we'll pass it over to David for his presentation.
Net control break, just a short break, if I may. I am seeing a check-in by Golf 1 Uniform Foxtrot November Sam on Echo Link. E1 UFN on Echo Link, and the name is Sam. Back to the net control. Sorry for the break.
Okay, I've put them in. We'll call him up. Step Fortunato. Are you still awake, Fortu? I'll call him again in a few minutes. G1 UFN, would you like to make a transmission? Sam, good evening.
Hey, 9H-1 FBS, G1 UFN returning. Okay, good evening all. Nothing to report really. I'm just waiting for the guy to have his good talk. I'm waiting for the talk. Just standing by, and we'll take it from there. So back to you, Charles. 9H-1 FBS, G1 UFN.
Do we have any more check-ins? This is 9 Hotel 1 Fox Bravo Sugar, net control station for the 9H-HAM GlobalNet. Nothing. So, let's introduce the guy. Okay, in different countries we have people or ham radio operators have different types of licenses. In Malta, we used to have 2. I don't know if we do anymore. And the difference between the first one and the second one was Morse code, or Charlie whiskey, as we call it, which comes from continuous wave, I believe. But maybe I could ask a question to, let's ask Tony. Besides, you know, the 9H1 and 9H7, I believe 9H7 is Gozo. Maybe you can comment about this after David's presentation. But I know that we used to have 2 different licenses in Malta. One was an A license, 9H1, now no longer existing. They became 9H2. And another one was 9H5. I believe that in America I have 3. Let's say in the USA you have 3, because
Nine H1 FBS KC1 NOC. Charlie, you dropped out. I don't know if I'm supposed to go now or not. Over.
KC1 and OC. I believe that you can go now, and Charlie apparently seems to have a technical issue, and we've gone through the round robin and through new check-ins, and was just introducing you, so I guess it would be fine if you start off until and Charlie at some point in time will correct his technical issue. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha.
9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha and 9H1 FBS. Good afternoon, good evening to everyone. This is KC1 NOC Dave. My QTH is a little town in northern Maine called Sherman. I'm about 45 miles south of New Brunswick, Canada. Before I begin with the presentation, I would like to thank 9 Hotel 1 Sierra Fox Stephen and 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha Anthony for making this possible. Also to 9 Hotel 5 Sierra November Marco and 9 Hotel 1 Golf Papa Mark for allowing the use of the 9H1 UHF-R repeater. And to Antone, 9 Hotel 1 United Sierra, and Herbert, 9 Hotel 1 Delta Hotel, for allowing the use of the 9H1 DMR/R repeater, and also to 9 Hotel 5 Yankee Victor Gwen for allowing the use, allowing us to use the same branding as the 9 Hotel Ham Radio Facebook page, which he administers. I will be taking a short break periodically so I don't time out any of the repeaters or any of the other connected devices. So I will take a short break and be right back. Okay, KC1 NOC. Well, I guess I'll start off by saying we have three different licenses here in the United States. The first one is the entry-level license, which is the technician class license. The second one is the general class license. That opens up a whole bunch of avenues. I am currently a general class licensee. And then we have the amateur extra class license. So what I'll do is kind of explain the differences between the three of them. Won't be able to get into all the technicalities and different digital modes that they allowed due to time constraints. But basically for the technician class license, it opens up the 2-meter band from 144 megahertz to 148 megahertz. It opens up the 220 band, which is 1.25 meters. That allows you to go from 2.75 to 2.95 megahertz. Then we have the UHF band, which is 70 centimeter. That's 440. The frequency range is 420 to 450 megahertz. Then it opens up the entire 6-meter band, which is from 50.1 megahertz to 54 megahertz. Then for 10 meters, we can go from 28.3 megahertz to 28.5 megahertz. There are, of course, all the digital modes as far as DMR, D-Star, Wires X, YSF, all those are included in that. We do have some restrictions as far as what exactly you can use where in the band as far as your modes, but that basically covers that. And let me take a reset here real quick. Okay, the next class of license that we have is called the general class. That includes all of the bands, modes, frequencies, and everything that I mentioned with the technician license. Then it opens up the 15-meter band, which covers from 21.275 megahertz to 21.450 megahertz. It opens up the 17-meter band from 18.110 megahertz to 18.168 megahertz. The 40-meter band from 7.175 megahertz to 7.30 megahertz. The 60-meter band over here in the United States is it's kind of a funny band. We're limited to 100 watts on there, and it is a channelized band. You have to have pre-programmed channels in there. Other than that, it's restricted. And that's 100 watts PEP on the 60 meters. And if you're using anything other than a dipole antenna on 60 meters, you have to keep a log of all your calls, transactions, and whatnot on 60 meters. Then we have the 80 meters that it opens up from 3.8 megahertz to 4 megahertz, and then the 160 meter band from 1.9 to 2 megahertz. And let me take a little quick break here. This is KC1, NOC Dave. Alrighty, now, on all of these bands, the HF bands, there is rules as far as whether you use upper sideband or lower sideband. Anything below 14 megahertz is preferred that you use lower sideband, and anything that's above 14 megahertz is preferred that you use upper sideband. Now, these aren't necessarily laws provided by the FCC which is the Federal Communications Commission. They're the ones here in the United States that issue our licenses, and so they just set the guidelines. The local clubs and organizations kind of list their own band charts for what different digital modes, such as FT8 or D-Star HF, or they have so many different modes. It would take me a week to go through all that, and to be honest, I'm not familiar with all that. So that basically covers all of our licenses. Of course, to get that, you study for the test, and we have different ways of studying. There's online places you can go to and whatnot and take practice tests. Yeah, that's basically it. So with that, I'll conclude the presentation, and I will hand it back to Net Control if he's got his technical issues straightened out. If not, I guess Anthony will take over from there. So thank you, everybody, for allowing me to make this presentation, and I'm wishing all the fine people in the islands of Malta 73, and I will hang around for the rest of the net. 9 Hotel 1, Foxtrot Bravo Sierra, from KC1 NOC, back to Net Control.
Law. Am I getting out, guys? What about you, Dave? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir, Charlie. You're coming through loud and clear.
Yeah, believe it or not, I lost my... Now, this seldom happens, but I lost my link. So I had to reset Echolink and all that stuff. Do we have any people who would like to ask questions? But before we do we have any late check-ins? Do we have any late check-ins? Call 9H-1FBS.
Charles, 9H-1 Jack Ali might have to disappear, guys. Enjoy it, and just see you another time, my friend. 9H-1 Jack Ali here.
Okay, have a good evening, Joe. Best to you and your family. Any questions that you have, please ask David directly. I'm 9H-1FBS, standing by.
This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. Approximately how long is the training session to obtain the basic and perhaps the most advanced license in the U.S.?
Nine Hotel 5, Foxtrot Alpha, Kilo Charlie 1, November Oscar Charlie. Well, thank you for the question, Anthony. Something I left out that's probably very important, it is to me, is the United States no longer requires for any of its licensees to have to pass the CW or Morse code test. Now, I have been a ham my entire life. My father was a ham, but back when I was young, I'm 60 years old, you had to take that CW test in order to be a licensed ham. I have a condition that's called dyslexia, which mixes up numbers and letters, and everything gets all discombobulated, for lack of better terms. So I was always involved with ham radio. I always listened and everything. So the best way I can answer the question that you asked, Anthony, the study period, when I studied for my technician's license, which was a year ago, I studied for about a month. I put an hour in the morning and an hour in the evening, almost every day of the week. And I started taking online practice exams for the test. And when I felt comfortable that I was starting to get 95% or more correct on the practice test, then is when I went ahead and signed up to go ahead and take the test. Let me reset. Now, I just took my general test last month. I believe it was on the 29th for the general license. For that, it is much more difficult, at least it was for me. You have to know a lot more about your frequencies. You have to know some electronic components, but they're very heavy into the rules and regulations. I would say that I probably put 3 months worth of studying in order to pass that general test, but a lot of it has to do with my dyslexia. So, of course, Anthony, everybody's going to be different depending on how their study habits are, how much time they have to put into it. But one thing I can recommend, if you study for your entry-level license, which is the technician's license, and you pass that, immediately come home and start studying for the next license that they have, because otherwise you'll forget stuff, at least I did, and then you'll have to start all over again and study twice as hard, which is what I had to do. So I hope that answers your question, Anthony, and I'll turn it back over to Charlie, Net Control. 9H-1 FBS from KC1 NOC.
Very good. Do we have any more questions for David? It seems that there are no more questions, but let's see. That's very, very interesting. I believe there was a 4th license in the old times, and even, you know, various speeds of CW for the various, you know, to get the general you have to go to 13 words a minute and all that stuff. So that's all over now. Maybe we could tell David whether in Malta we have more than one license. Who can answer that one for me? I know there were 2, A and B, and I know that the 9H-1 and 9H-4 were the A licenses, and the 9H-5 were the B licenses, but do they exist anymore? Any contributors for this?
1 FPS, this is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha. So I actually have in front of me at the moment Legal Notice 8 of 2020, which revamped the licensing system and the call sign prefixes as they applied to Maltese licensees. So back then, so at the moment we have the 9H-4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. There's all the possibilities, but not all of those being assigned since the 1st June 2019. The prefixes which were assigned before, and 9H-1, as you correctly say, was for licensees who have a Morse code license. 9H-5 was for licensees who don't have a Morse code license. 9H-4 was for God-written licensees who have a Morse code qualification. So then we had some temporary licenses for special events, for example, radio contests, for example, 9H-6, which is a temporary license. Now, the way it's been revamped, and this is for the effect from 1st June 2019, 9H-2 I paused for the repeater there. So from 2019, licenses granted to any qualified person having a registered address in Malta, 9H2, H2 prefix, and licenses for Gotitan people having a registered address in Gozo will have a 9H7 prefix. So this is the assignment as from 1st June 2019. The 9H6 license remains. That's for temporary events and temporary experimental stations, special events. But 9H1 is not being assigned anymore. 9H4 used to be Gotitan is not being assigned anymore. 9H5, which used to be Maltese without Morse code, is not being assigned anymore either. So now, since June 19, we have 9H2s, which are Maltese citizens, and we have 9H7s, which are Gotitan citizens. And the Morse code distinction has been eliminated. According to the that's the situation according to the most recent legal notice. Back to you, Net Control. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha.
Yeah, and if you have that notice there, the legal notice in electronic format, I would appreciate it if you could send it to me. But that's very interesting because now you don't need any Morse test to go on HF. That's great. Well, I wasn't too bad at Morse, so I did pass the exam. But I mean, you know, I'm not trying to brag about it or anything. It's just maybe my musical ear, because as many of you know, I do just love music and I love to play music the bit I know. Now, I think we're coming to the end of the net, but before we go, before I close the net, would anybody else like to make any comment on what was said today? And maybe I sincerely hope that if I do this again, all these things that happened today won't happen. I mean, the microphone, I don't know what happened there. And disconnecting at random is not usual with echo link, so I don't know. It's like Murphy's Law, I should suppose. Anyway, I'll just give a pause. Anybody would like to make any comment? 9H1FBS, standing by.
9H1FBS, KC1NOC. Yeah, Charlie, I just wanted to thank you for hosting the net, and you did a fantastic job. Like you said, we had a lot of different technical issues today. I have to commend you, because if I would have been net control today, probably half of my equipment and radios would be laying in the yard. I would have thrown them all out the window. So Congratulations to you, Charlie, and thank you very much. You really did a fantastic job. Back to net control, 9H-1FDS from KC1NOC.
A vote of confidence. Today there were, let's see, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There were 8 participants. I don't think I included myself, so 9. 9 participants today, very good. We did have some newcomers, and we thank them for coming. I would remind you that on the YouTube channel, there is the news bulletin from, I believe, ARRL. Maybe someone can correct me on that. I'm doing this at lib, and I think not too bad. I think I would give myself 50. Anyway, I'm going to close the net. It is, after all, 2100, just past 2100 local time. So I'm going to close the net for today. I wonder if anybody can tell me if we have a net on the 29th. I don't think so, because, you know, today's the 15th. So, Tony, can you tell me if we have a net on the 29th, or is it in August now?
Nine H1 FPS, 9 Hotel Foxtrot Alpha. We are still planning a net for the 29th. So we haven't decided yet whether we should have a break in August or not. Perhaps we could put that to the poll. But we are still planning a net on the 29th of July. 9H1 FPS, this is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha.
Even the schools, you know, have gone to summer school. The Parliament is closed until October, so why shouldn't we take a break? If you want to take a break, if not, I will be ready and able to do this again whenever you want me to, if I pass the test, HI. So remember that. Let's see if I can. You know, what you guys don't know is that I did make all the information in Braille. I had a friend do it for me because I don't have any way how to print Braille here at home. But anyway, I do remind you that there is the news bulletin on YouTube after we finish here. I wish you all a very, very good evening, and I think you could contact Tony or Steve or somebody else to tell them if you are in favor of closing maybe in August. You know, that doesn't make any difference for me. So with that, I'll give the repeaters back to normal use and wish you all a very good evening from Malta. It is going to go cooler on Saturday, so we might have a breather on Saturday. It's going down to 84 degrees in American Fahrenheit there. I don't know if the U.S. is the only country who uses Fahrenheit, but that would be 29 degrees centigrade. 73s, thank you very much. Thanks for participating, and we'll see you soon again. 9H1 FBS is off and clear.
Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Dave. This is 9 Hotel 5 Foxtrot Alpha.
A pleasure, my friend. That's what amateur radio is about.
Radio Newsline report number 2280 with a release date of Friday, July 9th, 2021 to follow in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The following is a QST. Ham radio at the top of the world, the North Pole. A powerful radio telescope spans 2 continents, and a California man's mobile antenna takes him down the road to trouble. All this and more as Amateur Radio Newsline report number 2280 comes your way right now.
From around the world, this is Newsline, Amateur Radio's first independent, on-the-air news and bulletin service. Now, reporting from Wadsworth, Ohio, Stephen Kinford, N8WB.
Our top story this week combines science, art, adventure, and amateur radio as a Russian artist, writer, and Russian Orthodox archpriest set sail to activate a polar station adrift in the Arctic Ocean. Graham Kemp, VK4BB, has that story.
Imagine an ice floe more than 3 meters thick set up as a shack for the multi-purpose amateur radio de-expedition. The Poseidon Expeditions team set sail on July 11 with Russian writer and artist Fedor Konyukov R0FK on board. Fedor is making his 4th trip to the North Pole, where he will study ice melt patterns and drift routes and perform other scientific observations with the help of equipment from the Institute of Oceanology of the Russian Academy of Sciences and other organisations. Using 100 watts, Fedor will also activate R0FK/pole on 20 metres and hopes to transmit on or around 14.333 megahertz. Details about his activation schedule can be obtained from the RA5G club station. In translation from Russian, the 69-year-old traveller writes on his website, and I quote, "The station will allow me not only to do science, but also I'll paint pictures, keep a diary. I love our planet." End quote. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Graham Kemp, VK4BB.
So you think you've got a top-notch antenna farm? Try matching your collection of towers, beams, and long wires to this work in progress. Jason Daniels, VK2LAW, has the details.
The square kilometre array observatory has been 30 years in the planning stage, and now workers commence to build it as the world's largest radio telescope, comprising a network of dishes and antennas on 2 continents. 2 different parts of the telescope, the SKA low array and the SKA mid array, are under construction in Australia and South Africa respectively. The South African site will have 200 large dish receivers, and Western Australia will be home to more than 131,000 small antennas spread throughout the region north of Perth. When completed, the telescope's collecting area will be 1 square kilometre, with the ability to receive signals in the range between 70 megahertz to at least 25 gigahertz. Chiara Ferrari, who is a director of a French organisation involved in the project, called the radio telescope a game changer in many different fields. She said, quote, "It will be uniquely positioned to answer some outstanding questions about the evolution of galaxies and offer us a unique opportunity to start studying the raw material behind the formation and evolution of bright sources from the cosmic dawn to current years," end quote. The announcement of its progress was made recently at the annual meeting of the European Astronomical Society. Scientists claim it will study the universe at a depth never before achieved by any radio telescope. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jason Daniels, VK2LAW.
Scientists have followed up with this announcement by acknowledging what they call, quote, an extremely concerning threat, end quote, of radio frequency interference from many of the new satellite constellations such as Starlink and OneWeb and China's proposed Chinese Guang constellation. Philip Diamond, the observatory's director general, said that discussions were in progress with the satellite operators for mitigation measures. Amateurs in Region 1 of the International Amateur Radio Union are grieving the loss of an influential ham from Kuwait. Ed Durant, DD5LP, tells us about him.
An influential and well-respected leader in IARU Region 1 has become a silent key. Faisal Al-Ajmi, 9K2RR, had been the region's vice president since the General Conference in 2014. He died from COVID-19 following a lengthy hospitalisation. Known as an accomplished contester and an advocate for amateur radio in the Arab world, he was the voice of the IARU at ITU World Radio Conferences and in the Arab Spectrum Management Group meetings. According to his QRZ page, he was also Vice President of the Gulf Amateur Radio Union and the Kuwait Amateur Radio Society, also serving as licence examiner and a trainer in CW. He was a team leader during the World Radio Sport Team Championship in Russia in 2010. Faisal was also the creator of the 9K-CC HF contest in the Arab world. He held the US call sign W2RRR. IARU Region 1 President Don Beatty, G3BJ, issued a statement remembering him as a valued member of the Executive Committee and of the Region 1 team. Vale Faisal Al-Ajmi, 9K2RR. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Ed Durant, DD5LP.
A ham, considered a pioneer in amateur radio in his part of India, has become a silent key. Jim Meechan, ZL2BHF, tells us about him.
Mahabala Hegde was known as a teacher, a tinkerer, and an amateur radio mentor to many in coastal Karnataka, India. The retired senior bank manager, who was 83, died at his home on Friday, July 2nd, of old age, according to a report in the Mangalorean News. A veteran of the Indian Air Force, he had a lifelong interest in radio that began with shortwave listening. A life member of the Amateur Radio Society of India, he got his license in 1978 and operated for 4 decades, most recently with the call sign VU2HEG. He also inspired his son Abe, VU2ABU, to become licensed. Through his interest in supporting other hams, especially the next generation, he co-founded the Mangalore Amateur Radio Club, where he was a life member, and he supported the VU2REC Ham Radio Club at the National Institute of Technology in Karnataka. In a condolence message posted on the Mangalorean News website, Mahesh Raj Malp, VU3FDT, a member of the Mangalore Club, referred to him as a father figure who taught communication and etiquette for hams operating on the HF, VHF and UHF bands. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jim Meechan, ZL2BHF.
If you happen to notice some unusual propagation on July 3rd, you can look to the sun, of course, for the reason behind it. According to NASA's Solar Dynamics Observatory, a new sunspot exploded, ionizing the top of the Earth's atmosphere. The C7 class solar flare also created a blackout on the shortwave frequencies over the Atlantic Ocean. If you were among those operating just below 30 megahertz at around 1429 UTC, you likely noticed it. You were in good company. So did those at sea, those piloting planes, and even the operator of a space weather observatory in Norway, who said the flare disturbed all his instruments. According to a report at the spaceweather.com website, the unnumbered sunspot, which is near the sun's northwestern limb, continues to grow. If you're saving a collection of older editions of your favorite amateur radio magazine and have run out of shelf space, you may be interested in learning about a new option for hams in Spain. Jeremy Boot, G4NJH, tells us more about it.
Imagine having more than 70 years' worth of amateur radio magazines at your fingertips while still having plenty of room on your bookshelves. Spain's National Amateur Radio Society, URE, has just made that possible for their amateurs. The organisation has digitised issues from 1949 to 2020 and created PDFs that are downloadable from their website. Each PDF of the Spanish magazine is approximately 200 megabytes. The files are readily available if you live in Spain or are simply interested in their amateur radio history. The URE website says that by making the archives available in this way, it hoped that its history would gain greater visibility. The next step is to create an index and search system to locate the various articles. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jeremy Boot, G4NJH.
Time for you to identify your station. We are the Amateur Radio Newsline, heard on bulletin stations around the world, including the W8WKY repeater in Doylestown, Ohio, on Tuesdays at 7:30 p.m. local time, right before the weekly Saranet at 8 p.m. Whoever said there was no such thing as a second chance obviously hasn't heard this next report about a special event station that was held earlier this year and is coming back for a few days in just a few weeks. Randy Sly, W4XJ, explains.
Is Pluto still in your orbit? Did you participate in the special event in February that launched the 10-year countdown to the 100th anniversary of Pluto's discovery? Or did you mean to and just never got around to it? According to Bob Wirtz, NF7E, one of the organizers, the event was such a success that not everyone got to work W7P this year, so the special event is getting back on the air for 3 more days. On Friday, August 6th through Sunday, August 8th, the Northern Arizona DX Association is putting W7P back on the air to mark the anniversary of Pluto's discovery by Clyde Tombaugh at the Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff, Arizona. Just as in February, you will also have a chance to work the late astronomer's nephew, Doug Tombaugh, who will be using the call sign W7P/0. After that, be listening each year on the Saturday preceding February 18th. The special event will conclude in 2030, which marks 100 years since the discovery. For details about QSL cards and certificates, visit the association website at nadxa.com. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Randy Sly, W4XJ.
Radio operators looking for the most up-to-date information about French amateurs have just received a new resource. Jeremy Boot, G4NJH, explains.
France's National Frequency Agency has published the latest edition of its online directory of radio amateurs, enabling users to locate radio club addresses, find managers of repeaters, and search regular and special event call signs throughout France. A search tool enables users to filter criteria for more exact results. In making the announcement, the agency said that the directory complies with the GDPR, the General Data Protection Regulations, that allow amateurs not to be included in the list by registering to opt out. Hams will also be able to dispute any information on their listing that they challenge as inaccurate. The website provides a link through which hams can send an email to correct their information. The URL for the online directory appears in the printed version of this week's newscast at arnewsline.org. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Jeremy Boot, G4NJH.
Congratulations to 3 hams who have received the Lifetime Achievement Award of the Amateur Radio Lighthouse Society. Jim Buffington, K5JIM, Jim Elliott, KA3UNQ, and Dan Hatcher, KD3CQ. Jim Buffington has had a long career in professional broadcasting and has served the Lighthouse Society as vice president and chairman. He has activated lighthouses along the U.S. East Coast and Gulf Coast, Eastern Seaboard, and the Gulf Coast. He activated his first lighthouse in Biloxi in 2001. Jim Elliott has activated more than 200 East Coast lighthouses and has chased and contacted more than 1,450 others. He received the Society's first Activator of the Year award in 2009. He also developed a weekly chat room on the Society website. Dan has activated 178 lighthouses in 15 states, with 72 of them being first-time activations. He has also chased and confirmed almost 1,800 lighthouses in the U.S., Canada, and in DX locations. Dan belongs to the Society's Advisory Council. The Society was founded in 2000 by Jim Wiedner, K2JXW. Listen for Frank K3TRM operating as VP2V/K3TRM from Tortola, British Virgin Islands until the 17th of July. Be listening on 40 to 6 meters where he will be using SSB, RTTY, FT8, and also on the satellites. QSL via his home call. Be listening between July 17th and 25th for members of the Quito Radio Club who will be on the air as HD1 QRC 90. The club is marking its 90th anniversary. They will be on the air on all bands and all modes. QSL via EA5GL. A Russian Robinson Club IOTA/RRA expedition will be using the call sign RI0FWA between July 24th and 29th from Kunashar Island, IOTA AS-025. Their activation will include the RSGB IOTA contest. Send QSLs to RZ 3FW, who is a member of the team. We end this week's report with the story of a mobile antenna and traveling down the road to trouble. Mike Askins, KE5CXP, tells us how it happened.
There's nothing like the freedom of having a mobile antenna, and many hams who have at least one will tell you it's a game changer when they're on the road. But when is an antenna too much antenna? According to the California Highway Patrol, it's too much antenna when it's a satellite dish attached to the hood of your car. On July 2nd, a motorist with just that configuration was pulled over by an officer who identified it as a, quote, visual obstruction, unquote. The police said the dish seemed to be an antenna like those that connect to the Starlink service, which SpaceX introduced in its beta stage late last year. According to news accounts in the New York Post newspaper and CNBC, the motorist explained to the officer that the antenna was used for business, and it provides a necessary Wi-Fi connection for the car. When the officer asked whether it impeded driving in any way, the motorist reportedly said that visibility was an issue only when making right turns. He was given a ticket for a moving violation. A post on the Highway Patrol's Facebook page for Antelope Valley recounted the story too, citing a section of the California Vehicle Code which makes the mounting of visual obstructions on the hood of a vehicle to be illegal. That apparently applied to this vehicle, which was a red Toyota Prius. Now, perhaps the driver would have had better luck if he'd been driving something older, say one from the 60s or 70s. We're thinking of one Chrysler Motors model in particular. It was called the Plymouth Satellite. For Amateur Radio Newsline, I'm Mike Askins, KE5CXP.
With thanks to Amateur News Weekly, Amateur Radio Lighthouse Society, the ARRL, Bob Wirtz, NF7E, CNBC, CQ Magazine, David Behar, K7DB, DX-World.net, IARU, India Today, The New York Post, QRZ.com, Radio Society of Great Britain, Southgate Amateur Radio News, shortwaveradio.de, space.com, spacenews.com, spaceweather.com, Ted Randall's QSO radio show, WTWW Shortwave Wireless Institute of Australia, and you, our listeners. That's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline. You can write to us at newsline@arnewsline.org. For more information or to support us, visit our official website at arnewsline.org. Be sure to follow some of these stories as they get a more in-depth look on the YouTube channel of 100 Watts and a Wire. Search for the video segment with the title Two Stories. For now, with Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team worldwide, I'm Stephen Kinford, NAWB in Wadsworth, Ohio, saying 73, and as always, we thank you for listening. Amateur Radio Newsline is copyright 2021, all rights reserved.